Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Toulmin method, which is why we were presented with the argument in the do not that we were. So when we're doing the Toulmin method, it's going to cover a few of our writing standards for the 11th and 12th grade. So it's going to cover 1, 2, and 3.1. It also covers a few more, but more specifically, we are focusing on these three, which will cover argumentative writing, evidence gathering, and persuasive writing as well. So argumentative writing is a form of persuasive writing. Okay. I didn't write that up there, but I probably should. So, go ahead and write. All right. So, what is the Toulmin method? So first of all, raise your hand if you've written some type of argumentative essay, whether it was in English class or maybe you took debate with Mr. Collins or anything like that. How many of you have ever argued with somebody? Nobody here has ever gotten into an argument. Nobody's ever tried to talk a teacher into giving them a better grade? No. No. So you're telling me y'all just take y'all grade as is? Ooh. I can't wait to see y'all in college. There's a lot of bartering
I mean, kind of, sort of, I don't disagree, but I don't like argue with them.
Why? So before we even get into this, why don't you argue with them?
They don't call our parents.
Because they call your parents. Okay.
I don't
So
want to
you
make
feel
it too more aggressive either.
okay. So this is actually really funny. So since we're talking about argumentative writing, while we cover this, we're going to talk about how to convince your teacher using evidence to change your grade, right? So we're going to use the Toulmin model as we go along with our do now. So let's go ahead and talk about it, okay? So what is argumentative writing? Argumentative writing involves collecting data and research and presenting it to a reader in a format that persuades them to make a decision that aligns with the writer's opinion, right? So let's say Julio's been going to class. He thinks he deserves an A. He has a B right now, right? But he has, if you were to write his teacher, Mr. Billups, an essay, Julio would say something along the lines of, Mr. Billups, I see that I have a 82% B minus in your class right now. However, I believe that I deserve an A. I believe that I deserve an A for He's going to present data and research to the reader. I believe I deserve an A because after looking at Power School, I see that I have 100% attendance. I see that I have turned in all of my assignments. And I also see that I have gotten an A on every single test. Therefore, I believe I deserve an A in your class. Now, Mr. Billups may say, you know what? I disagree for these reasons. Or he may say, you know what, Julio, you're absolutely right. After reading this essay that you wrote, or this letter that you wrote me, I'm convinced that you do deserve an A. So I will change your grade promptly, right? Maybe I will, maybe I won't, or maybe I'll say, hey, Julio, you're at a B minus right now. I can't really justify bumping you all the way up to an A, but based on what you've presented with me today, I believe you deserve an A minus, so a 92%. I'll meet you somewhere like closer to where you want, but not quite all the way there, right? Which, by the way, is also how you bargain for salary when you go into the professional world, right? So there are good arguments and there are bad arguments, okay? So good arguments are going to argue on the basis of fact. So Julio, he's arguing on the basis of fact. He looked in Power School first, he saw what he had to work with, and he presented the facts, right? Attendance, he passed all his tests, and he's turning all his assignments. Next, they have substantial research to defend them, right? So Julio knew before he even wrote the letter, hey, I have enough evidence here that I can actually make a case. Now, if he hadn't had such a strong case, he may have said, this probably is not a good argument, right? They also have a premise that thoroughly supports the conclusion, right? So his conclusion is, I deserve an A. The premise is, hey, I've got an A on the test, I got 100% attendance, and I've turned in all my work, right? So I feel like I deserve an A. Now, bad arguments, they rely on fallacies to enhance them, and ad hominem, and appeal to authority, begging the question, a straw man, right? So I gave you a list of different fallacies or flaws in logic that can be presented. So somebody give me an example of what they think may be a fallacy, right? Like what is a bad way to argue? Stop. So you stop talking in the middle of the conversation, a fallacy?
Like stuttering?
Okay. That's not a fallacy, right? But there is a fallacy called an appeal to authority right here on the board. What do you think an appeal to authority is? What do you think an appeal to authority is?
That'd be
Who's in authority? Do you know what an authority is?
yeah, like oversee.
Like oversee. So let's say Julio wants to change his grade, right? And he's going to appeal to an authority to convince me.
Oh, he said approve to.
Appeal to authority. So somebody's over me.
What does approve?
Appeal,
Yeah.
make a case.
Like a government, like.
To go see a coach.
Who would that be in this setting?
Okay, the teacher.
I'm the teacher.
Right.
But he's trying to convince me. So he's going to make an appeal to me about me. So think about an appeal to authority as going over somebody's head, right? So instead of appealing to me, he would say something like, hey, Mr. Billups, Miss Sam said that I should have an A in your class, and therefore I should have an A in your class. And since Miss Sam is our interim principal, therefore I should get an A in your class. That's an appeal to authority, right? Now, that could work, or it could just make me upset because I'm like, it's my class. Miss Sam is not in my class every day. So, I mean, if she writes me a letter or an email and says that I have to change her grade, I guess I have no choice but to do that, right? So that's an appeal to authority. Also, there's something called a straw man. So a straw man is arguing a point that is easily debunked, right? So if I were to say something along the